Welcome friends, welcome to the course PLI 221 Library Information and Society. We have been discussing earlier also how libraries have changed shape, how they have changed themselves, how they have adapted themselves, and the adaptation has been in view of the changing information availability and changing information needs of the users. The library is an open system. It has changed itself, it has adopted and adapted itself, and therefore it has survived since times immemorial. Library initially, which was there as a building, as a system comprising men, material and information sources, and this was serving the users on the basis of the print information resources that it held. It was also preserving these resources. With the changing digital information which is available all around us, there has been a feeling that everyone can have information at the click of a mouse. But the fact is that the information that is available on the exterior or easily available to the people is a fraction of that information. There lies a lot on the deep web, and also at the same time the problem today is that this plenty of information that is available is difficult to really reach to that specified information that a person requires because of the plenty of information. So the focus today should have been that one should be able to know the authenticity of the information, should be able to reach precise information, and should also be sure that a person has not missed something which would have been really relevant to the person. Now, this particular information scenario that we are talking of is particularly important for those who are in research and development. Those who are working in areas where lacking some information or missing some information really makes a difference. And this could be at the level of decision making, this could be at the level of research, it could be in the level of working on a particular mission or in a particular research in maybe in a group. So, and individual research also. Therefore, libraries have thought of different services based on different processes, and these services have been designed keeping in view different information needs and requirements, different situations in which information is required, different levels at which information is required. A product may be created by just seeing that where all that information is available, just providing the location of that information, just providing the details about that information in the form of a bibliography. And as you see here on your screen, that you are just noting down, you are just collecting bibliographic information of all these records, and you prepare a bibliography and provide to your user. This is the simplest way in which a information center works. Simplest doesn't mean that this service is less important. This is the first phase. A researcher, a person who has to research in a particular area, first of all should be given food for thought. He should be provided all that has been done in that particular area. And for that, a library or information institution prepares a comprehensive bibliography, arranges that bibliography in different ways. It could be on the basis of time, the latest books being provided earliest, it is a retrospective bibliography, or it could be maybe a person is involved in historical research, it could be the other way around. You provide the earliest first and moving on to the latest. So, it is a matter of arranging the bibliography, but the time period that has to be covered is also important. Again, it is done on the basis of needs, requirements of the topic, of the subject, as well as the users. You may be satisfying the current needs of users, you may be doing it in anticipation, you may be doing it in demand, on demand. You prepare, you do provide current awareness service, and for that one of the ways in which you do it is you cull out information, you select and collect that information and provide it to your users in the form of a bibliography, in the form of a reading list, and particularly which is current in nature. Going further a little ahead, not only the bibliographical details, you may also like to provide little bit of information, precise information, maybe a summary of that information that exists. You describe that document and you describe it in the form of a abstract, or you may provide a indexed bibliography, you provide an index also. Therefore, you are helping people for customized searches, you are providing customized selective information to your users. So, this is also done by information institutions. You provide a part of the document that may be required and you may prepare a review of that document. This review could also be a descriptive review. It could just be taking out passages and providing to your users. But at this time of doing it, one should be very sure that one is not violating copyright laws. And therefore, if it is done for fair use, it is done for academic and research purpose, you are not violating. Otherwise, one should be very cautious about all these things. The other is you try to analyze information, you try to evaluate that information, and you evaluate from the point of view of to whom you are going to provide it, and you need to have the details of the project for whom you are doing it, for the person you are doing it, and therefore you do an evaluation from the point of view of the objective of the person who is into research or the objective of a project to whom you are serving, and it is critical. Therefore, it is very important, and it could be data, it could be text, it could be any sort of information. So, these are very important activities in which a information analysis center is involved. Let us discuss these one by one. We have already discussed in our earlier sessions the bibliography, the abstract. Let us begin with data. These days data is very important, and therefore you have data centers, and the authenticity of data, the source of data, the data which has been used, has it been used in totality, has the right use of the data has been done, and if that data has been collected, then this data should be made available as a data repository. All these are very important these days, and a data center does it. Let us talk of the definition and functions of a data center. It is an organization that handles quantitative numerical data. This is what UNESCO says, and the functions of a data center are: it collects data, it organizes data, it analyzes data, and it disseminates data. If you see around, you will find that data too has to be stored, data may have to be used over again, therefore it should be made available as a repository, and therefore this has really assumed importance, and there are institutions that handle it, and libraries are not the specialized institutions for that, but then there are data centers that do it. We will we will give some examples of data centers. So, what do they do? The activities of a data center are that they collect data, they control the data. We have said about in earlier that they organize the data, but they also control the data, they codify the data, and then they organize and structure such data into a database and provide this data to users for reference and use, and they also retrieve the data. So, these are the different activities that are done by a data center. Now, the process of a data center is that there are different sources of data, there are users for that data, they create a database and they keep on adding data from sources, and based on the needs of the data users, they provide this data, and this is done by a data center. Here you see an example of a data center. Our national documentation centers, which have changed name, as I was telling you earlier also in our last sessions, that the NISCARE, which was earlier called Indian National Science Documentation Center, Scientific Documentation Center, is now National Institute of Science, Communication and Information Resources. And one of the reasons for the change in name is because documentation is now not a major activity, therefore now it is acting as a Institute of Science, Communication and Information Resources, and one of the activities of NISCARE is that it acts as a data center also, and this is a ISO certified data center, and you find here as an example we have given how this exists at a national level. The different institutions also have data centers which are into information activities, and they exist in different fields and subjects. Now let us move further and talk of the another important type of information institution, that is a referral center and also a clearing house. You know that as the name suggests, referral center, such centers are there for referral only. They may not be information centers as such. As you see here on your screen, there are different information centers that we have discussed earlier also, and these could be libraries, they could be documentation centers, these could be data centers, these could be information analysis centers, could also be information sources as such, and also be individuals and experts. But when you talk of referral centers, they do not provide information the way these information institutions provide, but they act as centers that direct you to the source of information. It could be source of information per se, or an institution as a source of information, or as an individual or expert as a source of information. So these days it is a fluid situation. You find institutions acting as many. They have library, they act as a data center, they act as a referral center also, and they also some of them act as clearing house also. So clearing house is not a referral center alone, it is a depository of documents for referral service. That means it is a referral center directs users to a clearing house, but at times clearing house itself does not have that information, does not possess that information. In such a case, it acts as a referral center. That is why you would see in literature that a referral center and a clearing house are discussed together. So there is a difference between a information institution in general and a information institution that is a referral center. You would have seen that referral centers exist not only in terms of information, but also referral centers are there in other specialized areas. Like you see here, this is a national certification system for tissue culture, raised plants. So this is a referral center which exists in the system in the field of plants, and this is a certification system. This provides referral in the case of certification. Like here on your screen, it is a referral center for virus indexing. So there are hospitals that act as referral centers. It is because of their specialization, because of their competence. They know that in different areas which institutions have the specialization, which institutions have the competence, which institutions have the expertise. They refer a user to such an institution, therefore they act as a referral center. Some hospitals also act as referral centers because they have the knowledge and they direct people to such centers Similarly, in the case of information also, there are institutions that act as referral centers. Now, the de-institutionalized service centers. Till now, we have been discussing in our earlier sessions on service centers which have been institutionalized. We have always talked that a library is always attached to an institution. Similarly, information centers are also attached to institutions. Therefore, they are always institutionalized. And why information centers and libraries are institutionalized? Because you cannot think of a library or a information center to serve anyone and everyone, because information is highly specialized. Therefore, they have their scope limited from the point of the institution to which they are attached, except for a public library where we said that it serves everyone and anyone. It serves all cross sections of the society, but a public library too has limitations. It will not be able to serve the needs of highly specialized needs of people. Therefore, they also have limitations, and similarly other libraries have their own institutions. That is why we have created different types of libraries. A special library serves its special clientele, and therefore there was a need to have different types of libraries. So all libraries and information institutions are institutionalized, but nowadays we have de-institutionalized service centers also. That means they are not attached to an institution, but they work independently. They are providing information as per the needs of different types of people. They even charge for the information that they provide. They are commercial in nature also. But then why did we need to have de-institutionalized service centers? And the reason is because information is so important today that the people want information, they want customized information, they want specialized information, they want information in a particular format and as per the needs. It has to be tailor-made and customized. Therefore, these people are specializing in providing such services because of their expertise in literature, because of their expertise in the dissemination of that information, in collecting that information, and they charge for their services. In this category of de-institutionalized information resources, there are some which we have listed here on your screen. The information brokers, human networks, information networks and information flows, and information filters. If you see here on your screen, I have given reference here to a learned article on information brokers which is available for you. You can read this, it is a useful article. Going back to this classification that we have done about the different types of de-institutionalized information service centers, let us move further. This is an example of an information broker which has been taken and provided you as a screenshot. They provide information on the needs, on the requirements of users, and they can be approached. Similarly, as mentioned earlier, that an information broker is an individual or a firm which is generally existing for commercial purposes. That means they are not non-profit, but they are profit-making bodies. They charge you for the information that they provide you. And while providing such information, they use varied sources. They also make use of libraries. You know, library is omnipresent. That means even a firm, even an individual providing de-institutionalized information services makes use of a library. Herein you can see how library as an institution is very important. That even while providing de-institutionalized information services, institutions and individuals need libraries, they need library services, they need library resources, in spite of the fact that digital information is so much available around us. They use different processes, as we have mentioned earlier. They select information, they collect information, they analyze this information, they condense the information, consolidate the information, package it, repackage it. You know, packaging once has to be done, and in case there are different needs, it has to be repackaged also. These days you have not only the documentary sources of information, you also have humans as sources of information. There are human networks that exist to serve the information needs of users. And one example we have given here, InfluMnet is doing a great service in as an information institution, and it provides us a database by the name of Vidwan, wherein they have a database of experts in different areas, and they provide access to this database, and this is an example of such a service. Now, you know, information networks exist and information flows. Institutions, organizations have networks which are both informal and formal. We have just shown you an example of InfluMnet. Similarly, there are informal information networks also. Basically, one is always in need of information, and that need needs to be satisfied. It could be either formal or informal, and this information flows down hierarchically, and the feedback also moves the other way around, and this is in formal networks. In informal flow, it is not structured, it is not hierarchical, it is spontaneous, it is unregulated. And information, when it is flowing, it is the gatekeepers, people who really inform of these developments. The gatekeepers exist in institutions who are active, who are actively in the know of information, and the information could be from outside the organization also. Such people provide and act on their own. It could be informally or it could be formally. Anyone and everyone has experienced that there exist people who really empower others in the institution, in the organization, and thus they see that this information flows and is made available, and therefore act as an important part of the information network. Now, information filtering is a very important process today in view of the fact that too much of information surrounds us. There is a information smog. There is a tendency of people to feel that it is bewildering. It may not be made available to us the way we want, or we may be missing some of these. Therefore, these filtering is a very important process, and these filters exist between the information and the users of information. Only that information that really serves the needs of these users reaches them. The filters act, and these filters could be people, it could be technology that is used, and that is why you find that whenever we use information, it is noticed, it is also regulated on the basis of the past experiences of the information filter, what we have been using, what we have been rejecting, what we have been accepting. So, on the basis of our needs and requirements, this information filter works, and this filter is the technology that acts. It's a filter. It could be manual filter, but then these days more automatic filters are there. As we had mentioned earlier also, a very important type of information institution, that is a referral center, and these have their own specialization. They know where information is available, who are the authentic sources of information, and whenever in need of information, we are directed to these authentic sources of information, and this information could be data, could be expertise, could be formal, could be informal, could be in the form of human as source of information. We have seen parallel situations, and in the medical field, in the pathology field, similarly in other fields also such referral centers exist. You know, we are talking of knowledge management, we are talking of the fact that in this information and knowledge society, it is important that information is made available to all. where there has to be a democratic access of information. We need to collect and select and make this information available as a repository to one and all, and it is here that clearing houses exist. There are institutions that that have the expertise, that they make available all information comprehensively, all data comprehensively with them, and they also act as institutions that may be charging, may be non-profit, and they survive because such institutions are needed. At times they may not have that information, they act as referral centers also. So, in case it is a non-profit organization, it is mandatory for other institutions to deposit information with such clearing houses. They have information from all different sources, and they are central information centers where on which you can bank upon. They are like information banks, and they organize this information, they select information, collect that information and make it available to all. And in case they do not have that information, they have information about information, and in such cases they act as referral centers. So, we have mentioned the difference between a referral center and a clearing house, and there is a difference between them, but they are discussed together because they may be having that information, may be directing us to that information. So, we have discussed today how the different types of information institutions exist and why they are needed, what are the different activities that they undertake, and what is their importance. And we have seen that they are totally different from how a library functions, because they provide pinpointed information, pinpointed data. This data has been selected and collected. It is not meant for one and everyone. They are done for a particular group of users, for researchers in a particular specific area. These researchers may be working in a mission mode, may be working in a mode that takes care of the problems that the society is serving, and therefore maybe an environmental problem, maybe they are working on some issues that are serving the society, that are they are challenges for the society. Therefore, in a highly mission mode, in a highly problematic area they are researching, and therefore these institutions have to be their information needs have to be satisfied. Therefore, such information institutions exist, and these institutions could be as data banks, could be providing information in totality, and also providing as specialist advice to such people working in these areas. So, we see how the society has needs, and parallel to that information institutions exist. They make use of information communication technologies, they network amongst themselves, because these institutions cannot survive on their own. They provide consultancy, and they may charge for such consultancy, and the users may not mind paying for such consultancy services, because for them this service is important, because they are being engaged in research. They really need help from subsidiary or parallel organizations which are sure, which provide them authentic information, which provide them evaluated information, which provide them critically reviewed information, and such is the need of the society today. And therefore, there are institutions that have developed, that survive and guide people in need of information. So, we have seen how such information institutions exist and why they are needed. Thank you.